Boom, 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 boom. So I'm back to the lecture at hand. Perfection is perfected, I'ma let 'em understand. From a young G's perspective, and before me dig it a bitch, me got to find a contraceptive. Yeah, YouTube's slacking on the notifications today. That's okay. We did an early morning one today, and we're doing a later evening one today, and that is okay. And that's realer than real deal, Holyfield. And now you hookers and hoes know how I feel. So if it's good enough to get broke off a proper chunk, I take a small piece of some of that funky stuff. Caught the last 5 seconds of this morning's. Damn, son. Early bird gets the worm. How did I choose Dinor? You mean like pick him out? So Ashley, my ex-girlfriend, when I was living in Texas, had a kind of friend of the family that had a couple of dogs that had puppies. And I remember we were in LA maybe it was a little after that. I'm trying to think of when I first saw Dinor or first heard about the puppies. I feel like we were on a trip somewhere. It might have been while we were staying in Columbus for a couple of months. But anyway, long story short, she had this friend of the family who had this pair of dogs. They had puppies. She had pictures of the puppies and pictures of the parents. And we had been talking a little bit about possibly getting a dog. And the puppies were about like the size that we wanted, you know what I mean? They were like little 5-pound little fluff ball type of dogs. And I was like, all right, well, that seems like a pretty good dog that, you know, we could be okay in an apartment, whatever. So we went over to this friend's house to look at the puppies, and they came out, and there were 3 little white puppies. Boop, boop, boop. And then there was Dinor. Same size, looked the same as his brothers and sisters, but he was all, you know, Dinor colors. Black and white and tan. And so because he stood out from the others, and because his personality was the goofiest of the others, we decided to get him. Of course, thinking he was going to be, you know, maximum like yay big when he was full grown. That's about, his parents are 5 pounds apiece. He weighs twice as much as both of his parents put together. Go figure that. But anyway, that's how we picked him. He was just, he was the oddball in his litter. The only one in his litter that looked any different, that had any different colors and stuff. And he had the best personality out of his litter, so that's how he got picked. That's how Dinor became Dinor. Oh, no, the origin story of Dinor, like, getting famous on DP, that's totally different. Dinor, the meme, started when a guy named Jim Ass, who came on the show every once in a while, drew a picture of what was supposed to be a dinosaur, but it looked like a dog with a big giant butthole. And he wrote Dinor over it, like intentionally misspelled it. And that became the meme. And then Dinor was named after the meme. Oh yeah, dude. Artistic mastery on par with Da Vinci, indeed. So yeah, that was how the Dinor meme became a thing. And then against my protests, it was my ex that wanted to name him Dinor. I was like, man, let's name him something cool. Please don't name him after a fucking meme on the show. Name him something cool. Let's name him like Zeus or fucking Jebediah or something, Let's pick a cool name. Ezekiel. Let's give him a biblical name. She was like, no, Dinor. I was like, oh. All right, Dinor it is. In her defense, she was right. He is a total fucking Dinor. Is TJ streaming? That might be part of the issue. I didn't think to check and see if TJ was streaming before I started streaming. Then it's just YouTube fuckery. Just YouTube being YouTube. Just a slow night. That's okay. The people that are in here seem to be fucking decent folks, and maybe that's what I need. Maybe a slow night is a good night. So I'm telling you, you guys have been fucking, at least for 10 minutes, you've been okay. Yeah, I did. I don't think I've commented on it. I don't think I ever did a whole video response to it, but back in the day when Ray Comfart's banana video came out, I did a joke about it in one of my videos. I remember way back in the day, like Condo Paul days. Give us time, we'll screw it up. I know you will. I know you will. You don't have a notification. Yeah, you and everybody else. 10 minutes in, still no notifications. Very sparse ones. Find the morning or night crew worse when it comes to memery and derailment. It depends, bro. Like, sometimes the morning crew is really good. Like, for a long time, I did almost exclusively morning streams. And for a while, they were really good. And then all of a sudden, they started to get really bad. And I realized that the quotient of Europeans is directly related to the quality of the stream. Not to shit on Europeans, but the more Europeans there are in here, the less likely there is that I have a stream that I can fucking manage. Like, So early morning streams tend to be like after work streams for a lot of Europeans for me. And that can be an issue. Late night streams, kind of the same thing. Like late night streams are either night owls or people in Europe who are getting up early. So I don't know, man. I do think that there is a correlation between the amount of Europeans in the chat and how fucking unruly and ridiculous it is. Well, that's the thing, is like I think that disconnect is what makes it the issue, because I went to a fucked up American school too. So I think I relate easier with the fucked up half-ass American shit than I do with the fucked up half-ass European shit. I don't know. I don't know, partner. Was your school super overcrowded? No. This is one of the one of the major differences between when I went to school and functionally how school is now, is that class sizes were less than half what they are now when I was in school. Any thoughts, experiences on SSRI withdrawals and alcohol as a coping mechanism? No, not really, bro. SSRI withdrawals I've dealt with. I wouldn't recommend drinking as a coping mechanism for anything. Drink to, let off a little steam, have a little buzz or something. Don't drink to cope. And, if you're having withdrawals and shit, you should step down the SSRI to the best of your ability. And hopefully you're under the care of a fucking physician that can help you out. Now go get a fucking profile pic before you post anything in my chat, because I'll ban you. Did you hear that the girl who leaked the Chris Chan call has videos of her boiling pet hamsters alive? Guys, this is why, this is why I tread so lightly with fucking Chris Chan shit. Because I don't think most people who are casual Chris Chan observers appreciate the depth at which people have gaslit and trolled and blackmailed Christine Weston Chandler into doing things and saying things, right? And when I heard the audio of Christine talking about this alleged affair she's having with her mother or whatever the fuck, to me, it had the fucking hallmarks of that shit written all over it. Like somebody having told Christine, if you don't tell people this, I'm going to release pictures of you doing that. Or if you don't say this or you don't say that. Or, and this is even more fucked up, I think it's possible that these people might have gaslit Christine into doing this with their mother. See, this is why I don't fucking touch this shit with a 10-foot pole. This is why you will not see breathless memery from me about this Chris Chan shit. Because I am telling you, it would not shock me if it comes out that the people that released this shit fucking like gaslit Christine for fucking years and shit and blackmailed, and there might be some fuckery like that could come to light with this. Now, maybe it doesn't. I'm not trying to make excuses for, whatever Christine is accused of doing. I'm just saying, considering the source is a huge thing when it comes to things with Chris Chan. That's why I don't rush to the presses with it. That's why I don't run my mouth about it. That's why I don't cover it. That's why you're not going to get a Christine Weston Chandler fucking episode of DFF. That's why I don't meme about it, because I know enough about what's gone on with this person to know that anything that happens with them could be the result of gaslighting, blackmail, some combination of the both. This is not a well person. And this person has been exposed to people on the internet whose desire it is to whip a sick person up into a frenzy and make them do silly things. And then it comes out that this person has done something fucking so wacky and bizarre and disgusting, and everybody just rushes to the presses with it without knowing any of the context of how it got there. So I'm going to go ahead and functionally, other than commenting like this and giving people caveats, keep my fucking mouth shut on this. And I can almost guarantee there's going to be some walking back in the future for people who rush to the presses with this. I can almost guarantee it. I see almost every big content creator running with this story. And it reeks. Especially if you know the history of fucking Christine Weston Chandler. So, there you go. Tucker Carlson is pretty much like the news source that I would guess would be the first to break this. Because he's the most weaselly piece of shit and probably has the least amount of journalistic integrity of anybody in the mainstream media. And that's saying a lot. It's not even really a story you can fucking brush up on, bro. Let me put it this way. I got into the whole Chris Chan thing back in the day when people released a video of him having sex with a blow-up doll. And this video got chopped up into a like 10-second clip of him like humping this blow-up doll and moaning its name and shit. And that got put all over the fucking internet. And that was my first introduction to Chris Chan, was seeing that video out of context, posted on a forum I was a part of. And I immediately got interested in, like, who the fuck is this person? Like, how do you get to the point where you're fucking an anime blow-up doll and posting it on the internet and it ends up with everybody seeing it? Like, how the fuck does this happen? And so I started looking into it. And at first, the narrative that I got was from, it was very one-sided. It was from Encyclopedia Dramatica at the time, which had like I don't even know if they still do. I haven't been to that website in fucking years, but back in the day, they had a huge article on Chris Chan that covered all the weird shit that she had done and blah, blah, blah. And as time went on, I started becoming more interested in, I got kind of sucked into the Chris Chan thing like a lot of people do, I think. I mean, Chris Chan has been called the most documented person in the history of humanity. It may be true. But the fastidiousness with which people have documented everything that this person has said and done is unparalleled. And so I found the quickie as a result of the Encyclopedia Dramatica article, which had way more information, way more detailed stuff, videos. And I started to learn more and more about Chris Chan. And it was on the quickie that I was first exposed to the idea that there were people out there doing, like, inciting Chris Chan beyond just like trolling, beyond just like making a comment that was meant to evoke a response. There were people out there pretending to be other people out there pretending to be women that were in love with him just to get him to send nudes, and then leaking the nudes and laughing about it and humiliating him over and over and over and over again. And the more I looked into it, the more I found this small community of really fucked up sociopathic people that found this person on the internet who is profoundly not well mentally and have manipulated that person for their own entertainment and for the benefit of everybody else's entertainment for like over a decade, right? Way over a decade now. And so it's like, when you realize that that is the story that you're talking about, like that's the person that you're talking about, not just this like, because there are people that want to say that like, oh yeah, Chris Chan is a horrible person, and the trolling that's done to Chris Chan is just people like reacting to the negative fucking personality traits of Chris Chan. Look, dude, Chris Chan does not have a great personality. She's rude, presumptuous, thinks she's the center of the fucking universe, has a huge superiority complex, has an inflated ego, has said and done things that are just indefensible. But Chris Chan is a fucking human being, and some of the things that I've seen them be put through are unconscionable. I don't care what they've done. Like, I don't care what they've done. Some of the things that have been done to this person, especially considering that this person is mentally compromised, is unconscionable. So when this story came out, the first thing I thought was, who fucking did this? Who put her up to this? Who facilitated this? Who blackmailed this? How is this tied into the ongoing, constant gaslighting of this person? And I'm telling you, I have a feeling that that thread is eventually going to get pulled and that sweater's going to come unwound. And a lot of the people that ran to the presses with this shit are either going to feel bad about themselves or they're fucking sociopaths themselves who don't give a fuck. And in that case, more power to them, I guess. I'm telling you right now, dude, it is not my job to hold Chris Chan responsible. This idea that the internet is somehow some kind of surrogate parent for Chris Chan, and we've got to... Chris Chan should be left the fuck alone. Should have been years and years and years ago. Somebody in Chris Chan's family should have stepped in and stopped her from humiliating herself and her family on the internet for the entertainment of people that were leading her down that road. Somebody should have cared enough. There should have been somebody in her family or some government agency that stepped in and stopped what was happening to her. And nobody did. And it got bigger, and it got bigger, and it got bigger, and it got bigger. So, the government should have stepped in years ago. Yeah. And not just against Christine. Not just against her. Against the people who have blackmailed, gaslit, and posted revenge porn and worse of her. Should have gone after all these fucking people that have been engaging in this fucking campaign against Christine. Not necessarily the people documenting what she says. They've done nothing wrong. But the people that actively engaged in the shit stirring, the gaslighting, the lying, the fucking functional, like getting this person to drive, like just the shit. The absolute bullying of a mentally compromised, mentally handicapped person. Yeah. I think Chris Chan should be held accountable, and I think every last one of those motherfuckers should be hunted down and held accountable. Every last one. Every last one of them that participated in the Oh, yeah, we're going to release your nudes if you don't break up your medallion and stuff it up your ass for us. Oh, we're going to fucking release your nudes if you don't fucking make a video talking about how you're gay. Oh, we're going to release your nudes if this. Oh, we're going to release that. Oh, we're going to tell everybody this. We're going to tell your girlfriend who is one of us, wink wink. All those people. Every last one of those motherfuckers that directly engaged with that. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude, there is a fucking, if you really want to know about this, you want a comprehensive and empathetic, not empathetic to the point of being credulous, but just a human look at this. There's a YouTube channel called Geno Samuel. They've got like a fucking 55 now, 60 part and ongoing video series called Chris Chan, the full story or something. It's like a documentary series. Every episode's like half an hour to 45 minutes long and covers the major like segments of Chris Chan's history starting all the way back. And it's comprehensive. Like it covers maybe not every little thing, but everything that this person could find from that era gets thrown in there. Yep. Chris Chan, A Comprehensive History. That's what it's called. Yeah, you can find it here on YouTube. It's got tons of views, and it's what I consider to be the most empathetic and fair look at the whole arc of what's happened to this person. So if you're interested in really knowing why nobody, like why I don't want to cover this person, why I have not in the past used this person as drama, that's why. That's why. Not necessarily because of that series, because I knew about the gaslighting and the bullshit before that series came out. I didn't know the extent of it. I didn't know all of it that had gone on, but I knew plenty of it. Oh yeah, dude, the Chris Chan shit is beyond sad. It's sad from multiple perspectives. See, that's what I've come to understand personally about the whole Chris Chan thing, is that you want to find a bad guy in this, but you really, and there definitely are, but there's no definitive bad guy because Chris is not a good person. Chris Chan is not a good person. They are manipulative, immature, self-involved, chauvinistic, vindictive. They just, a laundry list of bad personality traits, right? But the people that oppose her are worse. And so it's just like this confluence of bad people making bad people worse. And that's really the story of it. In a case like this is unprecedented in history. There has never been, see, they call Chris Chan the most documented person in history, and that's true probably. Chris Chan is also the most trolled person in history, bar none. So when it comes to like what should be done about this or what level of this or that was done, this is unprecedented in the fucking history of the internet and the fucking history of humanity. There's never been a case where a person was this consistently gaslit by so many people. And so Chris Chan really is a case study in this shit, right? When it comes to somebody being raised by the internet functionally. Bullied and tortured, sure. Yeah. But trolled is, he was trolled too. They were trolled too. And they did trolling. And it's like you can't, I don't know. Pretty fucking crazy stuff. But that's why, I don't run to the presses with every little salacious Chris Chan headline because I know the history of this person. There's nobody in the history of anybody that's gotten it worse. There's nobody in the history of anybody that has been more exposed to this type of shit than Chris Chan. Literally, like, you name a celebrity, there are less words written about that celebrity's life than there are written about Chris Chan's life. I can almost guarantee you. There are less hours of documentary footage and video dedicated to that person's life than there is to Chris Chan's life. I can almost guarantee you. There's not a celebrity, there's not a historical figure in the history of humanity that had their life documented to the extent that Chris Chan has for the last 15 years. Period. We know more about Chris Chan's life and history because of two reasons. Number one, Chris Chan's almost pathological need to put her every thought onto the internet in some kind of form and every fucking type of way, like video, audio, video games, fucking blogs. There's, she just uses every avenue the internet has to constantly spill her thoughts. And then a giant group of people actively cataloging every word and cross-referencing it to things in the past. It's unprecedented in human history. So when it comes to this case, whatever fucking judge ends up with this case, if they're a good judge, they've got a fucking unprecedented case on their hands. I could actually see the Chris Chan case getting elevated to a higher court. Maybe not the Supreme, but this is like one of those singular fucking cases. There's nothing you can compare it to. There's no fucking precedent when it comes to considering all the angles of this case and the facts. There's nothing to compare it to. People didn't even look at her as a human. Well, she didn't really present herself as a human. See, that's the thing. It's a complex topic, but I will tell you this. I don't agree with Chris Chan's behavior, and I don't agree with the behavior of the people that have been torturing Chris Chan for 15 years. I think that they're all bad people. Wow. Everybody showed up while I was talking about this. Hi, everybody. The last time I bothered to look at the fucking number of people in here, it was like holding at 40 people. So I guess everybody got here. Hello. Good evening. How much of her behavior is her own responsibility? I haven't seen much of her, but I understand she's pretty severely autistic. You need to look into it. Because if you actually look into it, if you really care about it, if you just want to be a casual observer and make your mind up, just call her a fucking weirdo and laugh and yuck it up with the rest of the internet. But if you actually have a desire to understand, you need to look into it. Because as you look into it, you will find there's no easy answer to that question. I went on the record, I was here when there was 10 of us. All right, yeah, you were an early adopter tonight. You were here. Huh. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I cannot say that Chris Chan is completely not responsible for what's happened to her, but that it's not my place to like, after watching the hours and hours of shit that I've watched and reading the hours and hours of shit that I've read over the last decade. I feel like I'm less qualified to make that call than ever, and that's all I really have to say about it. I'd like to change the subject, to be quite frank with you. It's depressing as fuck, and I just hate how reactionary people are with it, and I hate that people like me that aren't willing to just like run to the presses with it, or are taking a wait and see approach to this shit because of the history, are looked at as like, you don't want to join the fucking hate mob? Well, then you're making excuses for Chris Chan or whatever the fuck. It's a toxic fucking thing now. Ace Ventura 2 is better than the first. It has the rhino scene. It's not transphobic, and Jim Carrey drives a monster truck. I would say yeah. I would say agreed. Maybe it is a hot take, but I would say agreed. I think that Ace Ventura 2 has funnier moments in it than Ace Ventura 1 does. There's a little bit of racism in Ace Ventura 2, so you trade off the transphobia for some racism, because their portrayal of like black tribes people in Ace Ventura 2 is pretty goddamn fucking cringeworthy. Like, you don't really see that happen anymore. There's no like unga bunga ungawa kind of like headhunter kind of shit. That's, you know what I mean. But I would say that like as a movie, like being enjoyable, yeah, I think that Ace Ventura 2 is better than the first one. But I think that they're both pretty fucking obnoxious movies. There's a lot of cultural appropriation shit in Ace Ventura 2. So it really is a trade-off. The first one is just really like crying game levels of transphobia. And then like the second one literally starts with like Ace Ventura with his head shaved in a Tibetan monastery going, all righty then. And he's like finding nirvana at the top of a fucking mountain in Tibet, Like it literally, like that's the first scene in it, is him like an Asian face. And then like immediately he gets sent to like darkest Africa to meet with a bunch of like feral black tribes members. Yeah, they had the slinky all the way down the mountain, yeah. Where is TJ, dude? Somebody ban that fucking idiot, please. Help him find TJ. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is really good. He's just like eating that pink stuff. He eats the whole thing. What is this made of? Guano. Guano. Bat droppings. Shakaka. Plus, yeah, the Ace Ventura 2 has the Monopoly guy thing in it. The Monopoly guy joke, which is pretty funny. I agree. Ace Ventura 2, way better. And the rhinoceros scene, just in and of itself, may be one of the most funny things that Jim Carrey ever did. Like if you just take that the rhino surveillance scene and watch it as just like a bit, it might be some of the funniest shit he ever did. Like that shit is just fucking hilarious. So there you go. A strange movie. Somebody sent me a link with a timestamp just before I started this, and I was watching a little bit of Jamie Darkey. Still. So now, how many months has it been? Can somebody figure out how many months for me that it's been since Jamie Darkey and I had our little fist fight or whatever? Was I watching in good faith or bad faith? I don't know, man. I leave that up to you. That's for you to decide, I guess. I can't really. I don't know what good faith and bad faith are. Apparently, it has to be like 3 months ago, right? Like it's 2 months and change now. It's longer than 2 months, bro. It was 2 months like weeks ago. No, it wasn't even no, dude. 2 months ago max. No, it was longer than that, dude. It's been probably closer to 3 months. So 2 months change. Okay. She's doing another fucking stream where she's recontextualizing everything again. May 27th. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like coming up on mid-August. Coming up on the 3-month fucking anniversary. I think it's both, dude. I think she's butthurt and milking it. I think she realizes that when she puts my name in her content, she gets double the views, at least. And I think she realizes that of all the bullshit that she's talked since then, the one thing that she's done that's gotten her any kind of fucking attention was that. And so I think that she's going to fucking milk that udder until it's absolute dust. She's going to relive that fucking moment and try and recontextualize that night over and over and over again. And she's going to start slipping up and shit. Like tonight, she said some shit that it's just like, I thought you were TJ's friend, though. Because she was talking about how DFF allows and fosters a certain element of transphobia. And I was like, huh? So I went back and listened to it and to make sure that that was the context. And yep, she starts talking about how after she had the argument with me, people went to her and made transphobic comments. And that's because DFF fosters and allows a certain element of transphobia in their audience, like edgelord shit is what she called it. And I was just like, we just did the Trans Trailblazers episode. I just got done filming a Badass Women of Labor episode that'll come out in a little while. We've done Clits of Steel 1 and 2 now, and I'm working on Clits of Steel 3. I have covered, just on DFF, me personally, I've covered more female-centric history and trans-centric history than Jamie Darkey has in the history of her fucking existence. I've provided more insightful and informative commentary on trans issues than Jamie has in the history of her existence. women's issues in the history of her existence just on that show. Where the fuck does she get off? And then she's going to go in TJ's stream and be all buddy-buddy with him after saying that his show fosters an environment of transphobia. Dude, TJ's the furthest thing from a fucking transphobe. I'm the furthest thing from a fucking transphobe. Scotty's the furthest thing from a fucking transphobe. Our content repudiates it. So in her desire to make me wrong somehow, because she can't do it by examining the fucking argument, she has to call me, not really call me. She dances around calling me a transphobe. Oh, Paul's not a transphobe. I'm not saying Paul's responsible for the transphobia, but I'm saying he's responsible for it. Well, I'm hoping TJ finally fucking wakes up. Because she's a poisonous little fucking viper, dude. She snipes shit about TJ and says shit here and there and everywhere about fucking TJ. I overhear it, and it's never like straight out dogging him, but it just goes to show he's on the fucking chopping block with her, dude. If she thinks it serves her better to stir up some fucking drama with his ass, she'll do it. And it might be over this shit. Because he was there. Like, he was present when all this shit went down. So her endless fucking recontextualization of it, coupled with the fact that I work directly with somebody she calls her friend, and the content that I fucking make is the content that he makes to a large extent. And then she wants to start popping off at the mouth about how we run a transphobic environment, dude. I don't allow fucking transphobia here. It gets popped quicker than fucking anything here. And if you've been around my fucking chat long enough, you know that shit. I got a bunch of trans people on my fucking mod team. I don't fuck around. So to even insinuate that I foster some kind of fucking environment on any of my work that is transphobic or trans exclusive or whatever the fuck. Bitch, you better shut up. That doesn't fly with me. I'm willing to own the shit that I say and do, but don't fucking paint me as a transphobe because you got your ass peppered. All right? Don't go so far down the hole of recontextualization that you fucking come to some conclusion that makes no sense. Where's the evidence? There is none. There's none. Oh my God, she's venomous as fuck. She's got fucking Galen over there feeding the venom too. Galen the backbiter that shit talked to me on a fucking 5-person stream behind my back and then lied to my face about it. She's over there with him talking about me. Unbelievable, bro. My dude. My bro. My guy. Galen, a dude I literally slobbered in Pimp Monk's mouth to fucking help him pay for dental surgery, is on a fucking 20-person stream backbiting me. And now fucking lurks around Jamie Darkey's stream and allows her, unchallenged, to call me and his fucking friend TJ transphobic and fosterers of a transphobic edgelord environment. Dude. Some toxic ass motherfuckers, bro. This is why I long ago Learned how to cut the umbilical cord with a motherfucker right quick. Snip, snip. I even smell it, dude. I even smell it. Snip. There are people out here that would sell their poor old granny's booty hole for a buffalo nickel. You better believe that shit, bro. Dios mio, man. What am I smoking tonight? Berry white, but berry. This has got to be like White Widow and something else. Golden Gate Buds. Elite cannabis flower from the Bay Area. Elite cannabis flower from San Francisco. Gotta go get something to drink. You guys hang out. All right. My dude, my guy, my broski. Three bad bitches and they do as I say so. 3 gold chains and it's blueberry Fago. Ugh. Wee! Where did those sirens stop? Did they sound like they got closer or farther away? I'm wondering where them sirens was headed. But I can't hear anything inside that house, so they went away. Close then far. Got it. Got it, got it, got it. Excuse me. Beg your pardon. I don't know if I kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite way of smoking. I go through different kind of like, I don't know, desires, I guess. Like for a long time, I was smoking J's because I kind of like the action of the cigarette like action, but then I started smoking this bong when Amelia got it for me, and I don't know. I just kind of switch it up. I don't really have any preferences. I don't want to get in the 420 fucking weed talk either. No, I haven't heard Peter Frampton's new album. I'm addicted to hemp papers. Oh, okay, good. All right, 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 all right. Now, ladies. Dude, yeah, dude, that is kind of a rapey song. The Addicted to Love song. How does it go, dude? It's like the lights are on, but you're not home. Your mind is not your own. Your heart sweats, your teeth grind. Another kiss, and you'll be mine. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love, dude. Oh, you like to think that you're immune to this stuff. Oh, yeah. Closer to the truth is that you can't get enough. No, you're gonna have to face it. You're addicted to love. Good song. Oh yeah, every breath you take. I mean that I think that song is supposed to be that way though. It's about obsession, right? Like if you listen to the lyrics, like I know some of them, so it's every breath you take, every move you make, every claim you stake, every vow you break, I'll be watching you. And he says, "Oh, can't you see? You belong to me. How my fool heart aches with every step you take, and every move you make, and every vow you break, and every claim you stake, every vow, every whatever it is." It just goes on and on. So it's definitely a song about somebody who's obsessed and feels they have some claim to a person. And it's presented as such, too. If you listen to it, it doesn't have like a love song kind of beat. It's got a very creepy kind of beat to it. The Stalker's Lullaby, yeah. I don't know. I think it's a very honest song because I've never acted that way, like spied on a person or like watched a person from afar or whatever. Like, but I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that like in my past, I haven't had that impulse after a breakup. You know what I mean? Not just the impulse to like document what that person is doing, but the impulse to like let that person know that like, fuck it, you're mine. You're supposed to be mine. Of course, I recognize that that's not true. And so I don't allow that to express in the way that I act towards people. But yeah, that whole me fag, you fagina, me bonk overhead, drag back to cave mentality is still, buried in that male lizard brain somewhere. Probably the source of what people call toxic masculinity, honestly. And that, the whole toxic masculinity thing, that's a conversation we could have. Because I want to know that there's like a distinction between just straight up masculinity and what they call toxic masculinity. Because expressing yourself as a man shouldn't be a negative thing. Expressing yourself from a male perspective shouldn't be a negative thing. But applying a male dominant view of the world should be a negative thing. And that should be the distinction. But I don't know if that's necessarily the truth amongst people who talk about toxic masculinity. D, you jumping up in mom's lap without asking is toxic masculinity.
He was so hyped to get out here. He was like running back and forth. As soon as the movie was over, he's like, I want to go see Dad.
Well, is it everything you'd hoped? There's definitely a line, though, right? There's like a point where you want a man to be sensitive and in touch with his emotions, and a point where you want a man to be able to be stoic and just get on with it and do what he has to do. And that maleness, whatever it is part of a male's personality. In just as much as the feminine aspect is the part of a trans person's personality, or the masculine aspect is a part of a trans person's personality, or the feminine aspect is part of a woman's personality. I don't think often, though, that maleness is talked about in the same way as those other types of expression of gender. And I think that's because there's a certain aspect of maleness that the aggressive, kind of domineering, take charge kind of mentality that comes with maleness that people think is unnecessary and unwarranted at all times. And it just isn't. I call that aspect like kind of stoicism. And I really think that it's part of being a man. Like, it's part of my male experience. I won't speak for other men, but that being able to draw the line between being an emotionally expressive person and being a man, you know what I mean? Like being manning up, as they say. Going into man mode, as they say. And I'm not saying that being emotionally expressive is inherently feminine. I'm just saying that men have to have a different balance of it. Right? I don't know. I'm not trying to MRA it up here. I don't think men are under that much fucking pressure, but I just think that as things go on, distinctions have got to be made, you know? There's a certain inherent aggressiveness to men that I think is necessary sometimes. That doesn't mean that everybody has to be dealt with aggressively. That just means that aggressiveness is warranted sometimes. and always will be, by the way, as long as there are men. What does MRA mean? Men's rights activist. Everyone has a unique balance of masculinity and femininity. Sure, agreed. That's true. Men are taught as children to keep their emotions in check. That's very true. The male and female counterparts of every mammal species create a balance. No reason it wouldn't be the same for our species. Sure. I mean, that balance is a little more complex for us, I think. Simply because we have done something that other species can't. We have functionally changed our environment from a nomadic hunter-gatherer, small kind of like village or tribe-oriented kind of lifestyle to what we live in today, which are these functional, massive conglomerations of people with all the trappings of modern life that are required for you to navigate in order to live in. And all of these things are things that we have created that have added complexity to the traditional male-female dynamic that you see in other mammal species. And I do think that it's true that some of the traditional like male roles need to be rethought. Like the idea still lingers that men are like the king of the castle because they're the ones that work all goddamn day and everybody's, helps out a little bit to make sure that dad doesn't have to deal with a dirty house and a cold dinner, And that whole Leave It to Beaver kind of 1950s lifestyle where dad comes home at the end of the day tired with his briefcase and his fucking trilby, and he hangs his trilby up on the hat rack, and his wife takes his briefcase and takes his coat and scuttles off with it and comes back with a drink for him and a cigar, and then calls the kids down to dinner and then serves them a nice hot meal, That paradigm, as silly as it sounds, still holds a lot of fucking water, consciously and subconsciously, in our culture, even though, it's been functionally dead since the 80s. The idea that a one-income household is even possible. Now both people got to work. One-income households typically suffer for it. It just is what it is. Masculinity and femininity need to be separated from gendered, sex-based connotations. The current descriptions of them assume too much naturalistic causality. Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. You and G, Paul. Thank you. Thank you, Connor. I think I understand what you're saying, although I don't know that I necessarily do. Like, sure, you don't necessarily have to be a man to have feelings of masculinity, and you don't necessarily have to be a woman to have feeling. We're talking about biological expressed sex here. You don't have to be a woman biologically to have feminine feelings. So once again, we're talking about a sliding scale We're not talking about a binary. So there are different levels of masculinity and femininity, and they can be expressed in different ways too. One person can have many different layers of that depending on the situation, right? So I think this type of complexity, this sliding scale idea, rather than the two hard points, is really at the center of a lot of the like kind of social movement, the kind of social slash political slash sexual identitarian movement that's going on right now, which I totally understand. I think that's really what's at the core of this, is like those traditional gender roles are no longer useful in our society. In fact, they've become completely and utterly useless. And as a result of that, there are more people who are in an environment where they are more free to not experiment, that's a bad word, express different aspects of their personality and explore different aspects of their personality on different scales. One of them being the masculinity, femininity scale that we're talking about, right? We live at a time now where it's more socially acceptable for a person who presents as biologically male to express aspects that we consider to be traditionally feminine. And it's more and more socially acceptable on the other end for people that display aspects that we consider to be traditionally female, concerning biological sex, to express masculinity. And for there to be a blend of that in people. When's the last time I cried? I think it was here with you guys. Honestly, I cried a little bit when I found my old mentor, Michael Fields, and saw that he was really doing well. I was kind of overcome with emotion, and rather than like stifle it, I let it kind of come out because I was really happy and I wanted to express it. I was genuinely happy that he was okay. He was a mentor of mine when I was a young man, and I'd actually forgotten his last name, and it just kind of came to me. And Amelia helped me find him, and I watched like a TED talk that he gave, and it was really cool to know that not only was he still alive, but he was still the same person and still talking about the same thing. And so I cried about that, yeah. I think that was the last time I cried. If I'm not remembering it, if I'm missing one, then I don't know. Oh, that's right. I don't know if well, I'd have to go back and watch it. I definitely got choked up talking about, Billy being there for me during dark times and shit. Before that, it was when Jay Darkey destroyed you in that debate. Yeah. Yeah, bro. The booger picker made you cry, bro. That fucking kid, man. What the fuck? What a nightmare. What a total nightmare. The booger picker himself. Did you catch TJ's last stream? Origin of Language was asking to come on TJ's channel to debate politics as if people didn't see him pick his nose wrong. Dude, the 2-knuckle violation on a couple of those picks. Severe booger wipage on his mom's car. Just absolutely severe booger wipage. Like, I've been known to mine a Snoogie every once in a while. Everybody picks their nose, but god damn, bro. Green flag. Green flag. TJ can never defeat vegans in an argument. Oh no, not vegans. Mises is like freaked out because I said he was Origin of Language. Dude, I'm just saying, dude. I did a fucking verified vocal comparison, and myself and the chat, all experts, all internet vocal analysis experts agree that Mises is in fact Origin of Language. Origin of boogers, dude. Origin of boogers. It was him, dude. It was totally him, bro. They're the same person. It was one of the best Highdeologies in a while, yeah. Felt kind of old school, man. It's kind of what I used to do back in the day. Just play somebody's video and rip on them. That was like the essence of Paul's Ego's content for a while. As I would like make a response to some Christian person, and then they would respond to me, and I would respond to them, and then that was very common content back then. Was these video responses where people went point by point through each other's videos and responded. So it was like that, you know. It felt very old school like that. Dude, Origin of Boogers really thinks that people are going to take him seriously, dude. Dude, once a Schnuggy miner, always a Schnuggy miner. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it. That's my position on the whole fucking ball of wax right there. You mine one Schnuggy, you mine 1,000. I liked Requiem, yeah. Requiem for a Dream is pretty good. Not a movie that like I like watching a whole lot over and over again. It's a bit depressing for that, but oh man. Yeah, poor grandma gets coked out on diet pills. Lost in thought, yeah, kind of. Thinking about that movie Pontypool, which I guess it's kind of a spoiler alert if you don't want to spoil that movie, but I watched it with Amelia today. I haven't watched it in a while. And it's definitely a movie that's better in its first half than its second half, but it has an interesting premise. The idea of a language virus. And there was some other book, I think called Snow Crash, if I'm remembering correctly, that was about this. It's like a future, an apocalyptic future book where a virus is born from our understanding of words. It's very hard to wrap your head around, but it's like somebody gets hung up on a word or a series of words, and they start repeating them, and they're in earshot of another person who is influenced by the strangeness of that person's cognition, and thus a new type of life is born from our perception. So it's like a virus that is part of our perception and not part of our immune system. Yeah, like mass hysteria. Like people have, right. So we covered that. We've covered mass hysteria in the past. This idea that a meme or a piece of misinformation can catch on and spread throughout a localized population of people. And the documentations of that in history. Well, some of them, like the town back in medieval times or whatever that started dancing, people think that that was like mass ergot poisoning, probably, which is LSD basically. Like they think that they got a whole ass delivery of wheat or whatever to that town, or a bunch of bread delivered to the town that had ergot in it, and that was behind that. But there are some like instances of mass hysteria that don't have that as a backing. You can't like say, oh, everybody was fucking high on drugs or some shit. Yeah, there are instances of, and I can't remember specific examples, but we did a whole fucking show on it a couple of years ago, so you can go back and reference that. But there are instances of mass hysteria in history where there really is no explanation other than some kind of psychological phenomena that happens to us in groups. And so anyway, this book, Snow Crash, and then another book called Pontypool Changes Everything, was adapted into both a radio play, which is, an audio only kind of thing, and a movie, and stars the same people in the radio play as it does in the film. Centers around the DJ of a very small rural Canadian town in the middle of winter, where the outbreak for this language virus starts. And it's actually kind of intoned that it's because he's the DJ of the little town, that it's something that he says that causes people to start thinking it. He does this piece about the town of Pontypool, and it's about, I'll try and explain it to you. He says, Mrs. Getty's cat, Honey, has been missing for 3 days. That is, until early this morning, when Mrs. Frederica, whatever, I can't remember the names and shit, was driving her car on a little bridge. Now, this bridge is called Pont du Flac, and Pont means point. I can't remember how he does it, but he goes into the name of the town, Pontypool, and the name of the person means the same thing as the town. It was just a weird coincidence that happened, where all of these words that sound similar kind of converged, and he does this piece on it, where he's kind of musing on how these words sound the same but mean the same thing, but mean different things in different contexts, right? He broadcasts that out. That's how the movie starts, is with him broadcasting that. And then that day, as he goes into work, when that bit is playing, it causes an outbreak in that little town that spreads exponentially. And it's kind of not really fully explained in the movie, but at least intoned, that it's a language virus. It's copying itself in our understanding, which, I don't know. It's just an interesting thought. I don't know if it's something that's necessarily possible, but then again, instances of mass hysteria in the past have been triggered by single individuals. For example, I'll give you an example of this. The Salem witch trials, right? A lot of people look back on that as an epidemic of like ignorance, and of course that played a role. An epidemic of hyper Christianity, and of course that played a role. And an epidemic of the lack of jurisprudence, and that also played a role. But really, what the Salem witch trials were an episode of mass hysteria in colonial America, where two young girls who either might have been trolling because they were bored, or one of them might have started having some kind of mental breakdown that had a profound effect on the other. Whatever the case is, made up a fantastical story about a woman in town witching them. And it led that entire community of Salem to go fucking absolutely witch crazy. Right? Now, there are different ideas about that. See, that's what I wanted to talk about, though, Matt Blank. It's not as simple as that. People think, oh, they were probably playing make-believe. Well, maybe. But think about that. They were playing make-believe about something that, instead of mom and dad coming along and going like, stop what you're doing, or whatever the fuck, and it just ending there, it caught on with them. And then it spread from them to their parents, to the clergy, to the townsfolk, right? So this idea, see, that's another thing. A lot of people will say that, oh yeah, these girls had ergot poisoning or whatever the fuck. Like, whenever some shit like this happens in the past, people go, oh, it's ergot poisoning. So it's like, at a certain point, that whole town was susceptible to possibly the fantasy, possibly the paranoid delusions of two little girls. And it spread like wildfire in that community and led to a bunch of false trials and kangaroo courts and killings. Yo, whitest kids you know fan, sketch comedy group, and the leader Trevor died today. Had me more messed up than any celebrity death ever has. That sucks. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan, but I liked some of their shit. They seemed like they'd be young. So what the fuck did he die of? Did he OD on some shit? Seems way too young to have just knocked off. An accident? Fuck. He did a podcast a few hours before dying. Damn. Crazy. Do you think you would enjoy making a DFF episode about the history of hip-hop? If it were to happen, I definitely think you'd be the man for the job. Yeah. The problem with that is I feel like, I don't know. It's kind of an excuse, really. It's a daunting task, and I really don't feel like I'm necessarily the best person in the world to do it. I know I'd probably be the best person on the podcast to do it, but it's not something I would want to do bad coverage of. And I have limited knowledge of the history of hip hop just off the top of my head, and a lot of it is personal. So what I think might be kind of interesting to do, it would be to like take a journey through like the lives of like my three most influential hip hop artists, like the three hip hop artists that really got me into the music when I got into the music, which was relatively early on, you know what I mean, in the terms of the lifespan of hip hop. I wasn't into it in the 70s when it first started, but I wasn't born yet, you know. I got into hip hop in the late 80s, so like 87, 88. And, you know, they're just some like transformative figures that I'm personally aware of. I would be more comfortable doing something like that than trying to hit off like the broad hip hop history thing. He's talking about brewing moonshine the night he died. If you drink what immediately comes out after brewing it, you'll likely die. That just sounds like people like fucking speculating at this point. But that could be true. If something like that is true, we may never know. Like the details of it may never be known. Maybe it still blew up. Maybe. Dude, I don't know. That just really sucks. Dude was pretty young to be knocking off. Pretty young to fucking knock off. Yeah, 41. Same age as me. Born the same year I was, or at least within a year of me. Yeah, I mean, the expertise part of it can be limiting, but that's kind of the idea of the show. Our little mantra for the show has been a show for the uneducated by the uneducated. It's like the whole idea of it is that we're a bunch of fucking stoners that don't really have any business talking about the things that we talk about, but we try anyway. Like that's kind of the point. It's like a history of hip hop episode. I don't know. It's something I'll consider. But I don't know. That's a pretty daunting fucking task to do justice to it. Like I just did an episode that I think will come out this next week. And I don't know how people will react to it. But I have a real interest and affinity for the art and life of artist Jean-Michel Basquiat. And I did what was supposed to be a mini-sode, but ended up being a two-part mini-sode, our first two-part mini-sode, because we were just having so much fun discussing it. We were having so much fun discussing his life and his art that 30 minutes wasn't enough. So we just kept rolling, and then we split it up into two mini-sodes. So it'll come out, you know, part one day, part two the other day. We'll see how people react to that. We'll see if that's a good way to film these kind of mini-sodes and see if people are tolerant of that kind of one part, two part thing. And we'll see if the subject matter is interesting to people. But, you know, that was an episode I felt comfortable doing because I'm relatively comfortable with the basic facts of Jean-Michel Basquiat's life. Methinks you need a Basquiat tattoo. Ooh. That would be pretty fucking dope. That would be pretty fucking dope. Is there going to be another banter-sode? They're surprisingly interesting. I mean, those we kind of do for our $10 patrons. It's called the Grease Trap now. And we do an hour-long Grease Trap for every episode that we put out. So they get 2 a week. So it's like 2 hours of banter sode a week, basically. That's what the grease trap is now. It's a banter sode. Can't believe TJ only likes flat Coke. That's so fucking silly. TJ's so weird. Do an episode on weed, man. Jesus Christ, bro. Do an episode on doing an episode. Already done. It's called No Ideas Equals DFF. And that episode is nothing if not a look at the psychology of making a DFF episode in the process. So there you go. Your wish is granted. Episode was done like 2 years ago, by the way. It's an oldie but a goodie. DFF's audience equals DFF. No. Nope. That's what we've been doing for the last like half hour, dude. The last like 20 minutes of this have been like DFF this, 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 DFF that. DFF this, DFF that, DFF this, and DFF that, DFF this, DFF that. Could you DFF this or that, this or that, this or that, this, that. Pew. DFF these nuts. Yeah, dude. I need to get shit or get off the pot with my tattoo ideas and shit. I'm so flighty. I think you should be when it comes to tattoos. But I really want to get some shit done. I'm tired of not having them done. I've got ideas. I just need to run my ideas by Zach and actually start the process of having him help me design some tattoos for different parts of both my arms and shit. And just go with that. Maybe send him a picture of the tattoo that I have. So maybe he can clean that up for me at some point too. And then make a couple of trips out there and just get it done. Because I need to get it. I need to get it done. Tired of talking about it. Tired of thinking about it. I want to get it done. Yeah. I've got a good idea what I want to start with, but you tickled my interest with that Basquiat idea too. I just don't know exactly how I'd want that done. A Boognish tattoo, maybe. Maybe have Boognish worked in somewhere in my tat. I'd be down. Did you watch the Vosh v. Kirk debate? No. Now go get a fucking profile pic. Get timed out and get a profile pic and don't speak until you fucking come back. Or until you've done that. Yeah. When it comes to the tattoos, I've got a pretty good idea, at least partially what I want. The first round of work that I want done. I've got a good idea where I want to start with that shit. So yeah. But I don't have what I don't have a good idea is how to like conceptualize that onto myself. So, but that's that's Zach's job. So he's definitely my dude. Definitely the guy I want to go to. Definitely going to be flying across the country if that's possible. If they don't do another fucking goddamn COVID lockdown. Dude, I'm going to be so pissed if I plan this shit up and then they fucking won't let you fly anymore. Oh my God, bro. My guy, my dude, my bro, my homo sapien, my hominid. My dude, my guy, my bro, my fella. No, he's just got the touch. He's got the look. He does the type of work that I want. My guy. Yeah. Well, that's what I've got to do then. I mean, I know what I want then. I know exactly what I want. At least on my left arm. I know exactly. I just don't know exactly how to integrate it and make it look cool. But on the back, starting on the hand, I want planets. I want Arrakis here on the back of this hand in the style of David Lynch's Dune. So as the planets are presented there, I want Arrakis, I want Caladan, I want Gedi Prime, and I want the Emperor's planet Carino. And then I want Leto the Second here, like a big portrait of Leto the Second here. The worm. I want to have it like have each planet labeled like they are in Lynch's Dune, like in that same kind of style. And I want them presented as they are in Lynch's Dune, because there's a very distinct look to every planet in David Lynch's Dune. Like planet, I can't remember if it's called Planet Carino, because I think that Emperor Shaddam Carino is his name. But the Emperor's planet is this big Earth-like planet that has a ring like Saturn. So that'll be down lower so it can be bigger. And then I, of course, want it all kind of tied together with space shit. You know what I mean? So it's all one cohesive thing. Khitan. You're right. That is what it is. You're right. You're right. Or chitin. Anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter. I guess it matters at the tattoo level, but not for conversational purposes. What are you when you want to help them, but you don't want to be helped? What? Huh? Huh? Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen? Just fucking whatever, bro. Yeah, you don't want to get the tattoo and have it be Planet Caitlin. Yeah. You want to double check your spelling and your lore before you go in, But yeah, I love how each of the planets is presented in David Lynch's Dune. They're presented very starkly, and so Arrakis, obviously, that very orange, all over desert. Caladan, mostly ocean with a tiny little bit of land on it, mostly clouded ocean. Just a very stormy looking planet. Gedi Prime just looks deadly in that movie. I love the way it looks. It just looks like it's like an impossibly black planet with cracks all over it where lava is coming out. And then the Emperor's planet Chitain is like an Earth-like planet with a ring like Saturn. So I'd like to get each one of those all up this arm, just in a line, labeled kind of, in small letters like they are in the film. Maybe not labeled, I don't know. Maybe they don't need to be labeled, but I'd like there to be like some kind of space scene in between that ties them all together on this side. Then the other side, probably Duke Leto. And if there's some aspect of him that wraps around, that'd be kind of cool. Although I don't know if that works. From smallest to biggest or biggest to smallest. Well, that's kind of the problem, is that like my arm isn't like that, right? So if you're putting the circles equidistant on my arm, the first one is on the back of my hand, the second one should be right about here, third one here, fourth one here. That's, to make it look symmetrical. So the second planet is probably going to have to, surface area wise, be a little smaller than the first one. Depending. I don't know. So I guess the order of the planets really doesn't matter to me. Although I like the idea of having Arrakis on the back of my hand. I don't know. Is that, I don't even know what that was, dude. I literally I couldn't understand it as a sentence, so I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see it, I guess. I'm just going to pretend I did not hear or see that. So what's going on? What else is happening? We've covered the gamut tonight, haven't we? We've run yay old gamut. I don't know, Don Key. I don't know what's going on, bro. Yeah, bye. I'm going to leave too. I'll see you guys later.